Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to go show you a series I like from the hip bump. The hip bump sweep from guard is probably one of the first.
Sorry, my hands are shaking.
No. Now I got to start over again.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to show you a hip bump sweep series that I've used since I was a white belt. Shout out to BJ Penn and his first book. When I was a white belt I read. This was one of the first sweeps I ever learned, and I've just kind of developed it over the year, and it's still probably one of my favorite sweeps. So, we're on the ground, we're inside of our guard. Now, usually the general rule, when you're inside guard, you're trying to figure out some way to break this person down to get them low. His object is to push away. He wants to keep his base and he wants to stay high up so he can start spreading my legs to pass the guard. So, usually when I'm doing this, I'm fighting, and he gets them, it's really, really strong, and they really muscle their way up. As soon as I feel that, I usually keep my hand on this lapel, I open my guard. I'm gonna do it slow, but when you do this, it's more of a burst movement. So there's a couple reactions you get when you do this. First is the sweep, and then everything else is submission attacks. So when I'm coming here, I'm gonna take my guard, I'm gonna open up, I'm gonna plant my feet on the mat, here. This hand here, I'm going to push up and let go. So one big motion, I'm coming up, and I'm getting off the mat, my butt and everything is coming up. Now when I do this sweep, and if you're doing this at home with your partner, make sure you're not going that way, because if you go that way, you'll roll on top and you could hurt somebody's knee. And honestly, if they're a lot bigger than you, it doesn't work. If they're smaller than you, you can muscle somebody over, but technique-wise, you want to get up, and you're trying to go this way. With the gi on, I'll grab the lapel. If it's no gi, usually I put my hand here and I kind of bump and almost kind of clothesline them in the face. But with this gi on here, I bump and I'm using my hips and I'm just turning over, put both hands on the mat, and I'm finishing here. Now, usually the most common thing people do when you do this setup, you're doing everything right, you sit up. What they'll do, as you get here, they'll post their hand out. Now if I feel that hand post, I'll take this hand and I try to slap it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you can slap it and get it here, go for just keep going for the sweep. If you get here and they're really strong and you can't, you'll feel it hit, and the next thing I do, I slide my hand under here and I grab underneath their pit and I take this backhand and I fall and I catch the wrist. Now, when I'm here, if I'm in the gi, you don't want the hand to come here. They're gonna grab your belt. There's ways to finish this. It's just a huge pain in the butt. So usually, if I'm in the gi, I try to keep their hand kind of out. And most of the competitors, they'll be trying to pull their hand in to get to that belt. I'm trying to keep it here. And I keep that here by holding the wrist and using this and just kind of raising my elbow up and holding it here. Now, as I'm doing this, I'll start coming up and I wanna get their hand behind. Once I'm here, this is fine. Now, the big thing on this is what I try to tell people. People have very flexible shoulders.
Thanks, man.
They'll try to Kimura out here. Some people are strong, it just doesn't work. So I tell people, get here and get it kind of close to their back and scrape the back of their hand on their back. And I'm gonna take my guard and my legs, and as I'm pulling this way, I'm pushing with my legs. And you see, I'm picking my butt up off the mat here. Like I haven't even twisted and he's already kind of tapping out on me. The whole point of this is I'm trying to pull all of his ligaments as tight as I can before I start going for the Kimura. And usually when I tell people, once my hand's here and I can feel everything tight, imagine I'm taking the back of his hand and high-fiving the back of his head. Now, the other thing that happens here, and this is usually a much more advanced player will do this. Most advanced guys know not to post, because they know you're gonna attack this guard, you're gonna attack this arm, or you're gonna smack their elbow here and you're gonna try to it kind of hurts a little bit. So usually what most people do is when they do this, when I start coming up, they'll just kind of shoot their body straight up in the air, here. So he's gonna pop up, so as I'm here, he's gonna come up here, and what he's doing, he's getting higher than me, so it's harder to base out. So when this happens, I actually prefer this the most because this sets up what I like to call shoulder guard. It's a lockdown I do. There's a lot of submissions I like to do from here. So the first thing I do is once I feel this, I do kind of the same thing. I take my hand and I come underneath here just for a second. And then as I fall, I let this hand go and then I shoot my hand right here. When I shoot my hand in here, I think I lost the mic. When I shoot my hand in here, the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna gable grip. I'm gonna drag this right into his shoulder blade here. And I'm gonna take my elbow and I'm gonna push it into his face. Now the whole point of this is I'm trying to keep him here. If I'm kind of loose anywhere, it's easy for him just to pop up and get away again. If I'm here and I'm locking down, it's really hard for anybody to pop up from this position. It's very, very difficult. Once I'm here, as you can see on my guard, I have my guard wrapped. The first thing I do, I take the outside leg here, and I take this leg here. I'll have my guard, depending on where I'm at, but usually I like to take this outside leg that I have the same side of the shoulder, and I'm going to clamp on his back. And the main reason I'm clamping on his back is now I have his shoulder lock, I have his back lock. It gets much harder to pick up off me. And when I'm doing this, now I can like let this leg go, and it's still very difficult for them to pop up and get away from me. I take this leg here, and I never like just go like this and do this. I'm always sliding up the rib cage on this side. I'm gonna slide and then put my foot right on their hip. You can get away and do this, just a lot tighter if I'm limp and I'm crimped right here. And I'm gonna use this here to push his body in that direction. And the whole point of that is I'm gripping here, and I'm gonna take this elbow, I'm gonna roll it up to my neck as I'm pulling out. What I like to do here, as I'm pulling out, now there's two ways to do this. There's an advanced way, but this takes a lot of touch. I usually tell everybody at first, and I know a lot of guys, very, very advanced, they love doing it this way. It's totally a preference. I like this submission, but if you're kind of new to this, it's a little easier. Take your hand, keep it placed here as you're pushing away, and feel for their elbow right here. You got to feel for it. It's like, oh, where's it at? Oh, there it is. And I'm pushing away, because the whole point of this, I'm trying to push him away to get his hand right here like he's trying to karate chop me in the neck. I'm going to take my shoulder, I'm going to roll it up, I'm going to squeeze. So I'm holding his hand with my shoulder on the side of my neck here. And then all you're doing is you're taking your other hand here, and it's not down. You're twisting and coming down for the submission. I preference this. I'm still doing the exact same thing. Now when you're in this position, some guys I know can literally bend their arm like in the opposite. I mean, they can literally, they're so flexible, their arm literally bends like that. Mine doesn't work like that, but some guys do. So when they do that and they can bend, usually for them to relieve this pressure, they're gonna go that way because they're trying to get their hand away from me. So if I'm here and it's not working and they're starting to slide away, the first thing I do, I take this top guard I had here and I bring it up to his head, and I'm trying to take the ball of my foot here and I'm trying to hook it right here on his lat, right there. I'm trying to lock all this down. I'm still doing all this. Once I'm here, I'm pushing away, and see I'm turning my hip. I'm using this as like a fulcrum so I can really turn in, bring this leg in, and then I shoot out and I start locking the triangle right here. Same thing, when I'm doing this, I grip, I'm keeping this locked, I unlock, I'm putting it on his hip, I'm turning, and then I'm re-gripping, and then I'm squeezing to finish the triangle. Now the nice thing about this here is as I'm coming here and I'm doing this, and let's say I kind of make a mistake and he pops up here, as long as you still have this arm, it's real easy just to lift over and finish this arm bar instead. Thanks, stay tuned. That's what I taught yesterday.